Now, it's not the first time we've talked about oil in them there Surrey Hills. Now, there could be more drilling at the Horse Hill oil well, known locally as the Gatwick Gusher. The company behind it putting in another planning application on Monday. Some people living near the site in Hawley weren't happy with the tests when we spoke to them last April.
Does it affect house prices? How do they get the stuff out? Does this mean the end of this little quiet road? There's big tankers going through, or are they going to be running a pipeline? At night you can hear the noise.
Well, it's a very beautiful, quiet area. Presumably there'll be some compulsory purchasing.
We don't know what's going to go on at the moment, so we need to know all the facts, really, don't we? So.
And so far, has there been any disruption to you? Would you even have known it was going on?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
definitely. It was drilling at night and the constant noise, spotlights as well, disruption around traffic on the road.
I suppose if it keeps jobs here, it keeps the local economy going, then yeah, it's fine with me at the moment. I suppose we'll have to see how it goes.
So one cautious vote of enthusiasm there back in April. Well, now Horse Hill Developments want to keep testing the flow and do some further exploration at the site. Earlier, we spoke to the Professor of Petroleum Geology at Imperial College, Richard Selly, who's from Brockham.
There's about a dozen oil and gas fields all around Surrey and Sussex, around the Weald, that have been producing oil and gas since 1895, and they're found by clever geologists. The fields are drilled by naughty oil companies, and we should be grateful to them for taking the financial risk, because remember, if they drill a dry hole, they've lost millions of pounds. If they find some oil and gas, and this is the good bit for you, me, and all your listeners, we get 60% of the profit without taking the risk.
So a voice of enthusiasm there. Let's speak to Stephen Sanderson, who's the chairman and chief exec of UK Oil and Gas, the company behind the so-called Gatwick Gusher. Good morning to you.
Good morning, James.
So we've got a new application going in on Monday. What are you asking to do?
It's going in this week, not Monday. But yeah, we're seeking permission to go back with a phased program, which is designed to confirm the project's commerciality. You probably remember earlier in the February, March that the site actually did record a sort of record-breaking oil flow for a UK oil discovery. We flowed it very shortly then, and we need to go back and basically test it for a lot longer. So the program consists, of sort of two phases. One is more well test, which actually designed to confirm if we have commercial volumes of oil, and if that's successful, then we'd go back and drill two new well bores to sort of assess the extent of the oil accumulation.
What are you saying to residents maybe worried about the ongoing and future disruption and maybe the environment as well?
Well, we've had two public consultation meetings where we had a lot of people come through, and we explained to them what we were doing. We also have a community liaison group, which actually is with the sort of 8 or 10 closest houses to the development. We gained a lot of insight into what people's concerns were from that process. We've fed that back into design in our program. We're installing a lot more light and noise shielding. We're reducing the overall time of our program, certainly reducing work at night. And I think that we're minimizing the impact as much as possible. And I think it's important to say, maybe Dick Selly said this in the program earlier, but this is I'd like the good people of Surrey to realise that this is not fracking, it's not shale gas, it's not shale oil. It's a conventional oil accumulation as such in these limestone layers, and we're definitely not putting fluids into the ground to actually fracture the rocks, to basically shatter the rocks in the ground. That's not what we're doing. The techniques we're using have been around for 50 plus years. So I hope that people realise that.
If it does gush, the Gatwick Gusher, what's the impact locally?
Well, the impact locally, I think, is very good for jobs, and of course, we have said that we'll be giving, a royalty, money from production stream if we do indeed get to that, to the local community and the residents.
So how will you give that? What, via the county council, or it will be individual payments to people?
No, it will be handled by essentially a trust as such. The trust that we're considering using actually is the one that hands out money from the National Lottery, so it's something that they're very experienced in. So it will actually really be up to the local community and residents as to how that money is spent and divided.
When will you know more?
When will we know more?
Yeah, assuming you're given the permission, how long will you know before this is a gusher?
Well, it already gushed, but it only gushed for... we only were able to test it in February, March for a short period of time. So, we're going in there longer, and that will tell us sort of volumes of oil that we can expect that are in the ground. And if we get the permission, hopefully we'll be back in there in the springtime, and the initial program runs over about 6 months. The operations are... designed to be as minimal impact. I mean, it's not continued. There's no drilling involved in the first bit. So after about 4 to 6 months, we'll know if we have something really good in there, and that's when we'll go back and drill a couple of more well bores.
Stephen, thank you. Stephen Sanderson's the chairman and chief exec of UK Oil and Gas, the company behind the so-called Gatwick Gusher. It is BBC Surrey. Look at front pages for you. Delve more into newspapers after this from Roxy Music.